Hello, hello, and welcome to Rise Up CX Talks. This is the podcast where we discuss ideas and strategies on how to transform experience into business growth. I'm your host, Camila Ferreira, an award winning CX leader, an author of Long Live CX, and an international speaker. Today, I have the pleasure to have with me Angela Carrasco, who I met through LinkedIn, but I already consider her a friend. So with no further ado, so Angela, please introduce yourself and let the audience know what you do to transform experience into business growth.
Cami, such a pleasure to be here with you on this fine Wednesday morning. My name is Angela Carrasco. I am a nerd at heart. I read more than I can chew. I'm a keynote speaker. I am the leader and the founder of the Discomfort Project, a project that began in my living room with a heart full of doubts and uncertainty and has become a leading force in my life. And I think CX for me is the experience that we first create for ourselves so that we then can express it to the world.
Oh my God, I love you. Can I say that?
You're too kind, Cami.
No, I am sure that you have a lot more to share than what can fit in these 30 to 40 minutes of this episode. It's absolutely pleasure to have you here and talk about the cost of comfort. I love this project from the beginning, from I saw your post on LinkedIn, and thank God that we connected and we are here to not only discuss among ourselves what it means, but to share more broadly what it means and what the difference it can make on people's life. So yeah, amazing to have this conversation live with you. And the topic of this episode is the cost of comfort. What leaders lose when they play it safe. Oh my goodness, this is music to my ears. And I feel like this is the story of my life, your life, and many other people's life.
Mhm.
So yeah, with no further ado, I have come up with some questions, but I also want to invite the audience to ask questions as well, to engage here with us. I'll make sure that I bring all the thoughts and comments to this live conversation. But just for us to kick things off, you've built a whole platform around the cost of comfort. Oh my goodness. So what does comfort really cost leaders and their organizations, in your opinion?
I think for me, the most important aspect that we all pay is experiments, is our ability to play and interact with ideas that once you know the ways in which all things are supposed to be done and you have all the answers to the problems and the mechanisms, it's like, oh, we have the way to get to our KPIs. And I think what I'm still learning in this process is that tinkering, that word is magic. Just tinker. What happens if I do an experiment that lasts 30 days and that I test new ideas and new ways following my genuine curiosity? So, not following trends, not understanding what is the best strategy that ChatGPT came up with for me, but instead just asking the genuine questions within the values of the organization and saying, how do I stay true to that? But at the same time, how can I experiment? This is a book. I call her La Prima. She's my cousin and Lorelle Kampf. And through her words, Mira, I started reading her. And within the first 2 pages, I was like, this woman wrote this book for me. Like, she's not writing it for anyone else. And it's just searching for discomfort, not as a way to, to like banish yourself into a discomfort experience, but rather to seek experiments and play more than we tend to do in corporate America.
Yeah. So first of all, you have your fans attending the episode. So thank you very much for having them here. Uh, and I can agree more with you. And it resonates very much with the way I see the world. And by the way, there was a post I did once on LinkedIn that says the following: we see the world the way we are, and
Mm-hmm.
not the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something that I learned since I kicked off my international career. Because when you are in your home country, as you said, so Maybe you know, and there is a way you already know on how to deliver or how to design the KPIs, how to deliver the performance, but it's not the only way.
Mhm.
Once you leave your home country, which is a huge discomfort, you have to push yourself completely out of the boundaries that you once believed you had and start seeing the world from a completely different perspective. In my case, I have had the chance or the challenge of living in different countries in such a short period of time that I did not have actually the time to get used to the culture, and I had to adapt to another one. So that's why I agree with you, and it resonates so much with me, because to me, leadership and experience is all about you pushing yourself out of your comfort zone to try to see the world from the perspective of someone else.
Mhm. Exactly.
And experimenting, as you were saying. So what if I do it differently? What kind of an outcome can I get out of this? What can I learn from this?
And it becomes an open-ended question. Like my favorite part about it is that there isn't a yes no route. It's like, what will it come? We will see. It will be one thing in 10 days, maybe another different thing in 20. And now, a year into my discomfort project, I would have never in a million years guessed that I would be here talking to you about this lifelong project that
Yes,
I
especially because the idea of this podcast came 9 months ago. So
see exactly. As an experiment, it gives us the freedom to play.
yes. And
Yeah.
as we were talking offline, so the reason why I decided to move forward with this podcast is because I'm not a good writer. And many people were telling me to have my own newsletter, to put my ideas out. But like, it must it must talk to me the way I'm going to do this. It
Mm,
must be natural. It must be authentic. And I know that writing is not something authentic to myself, but talking is. And that's how this podcast came to life.
exactly. Wow.
Okay. So looking back to your journey from Venezuela to the US,
Mm.
not an easy journey, right? What were, so when you look back, what were the defining moments where discomfort became your superpower? Those moments where you were like, oh my goodness, am I going in the right direction? Am I right on what am I doing? I'm pretty sure that you have asked yourself this question a couple of times. So what were those moments?
I can think of two very specific and clear moments because the very first one was right before emigrating. Um, exactly a year before we moved to Dallas, my family and I were kidnapped in our own apartment in Caracas, Venezuela.
Oh my gosh.
And if I can tell you, of course, 10 years ago, I would have never been able to share this story with the clarity that I can today. But I think, and I know it was the same for my family. At that point, we all said, if this is a reality that can happen in our lives, this is going to become the catalyst for our search for discomfort until we get to safety. Whatever safety meant in that moment, because everything felt foggy and uncertain. But I think after that experience, it's almost like we all unlocked a superpower that it was like nothing will be as uncomfortable physiologically as that experience. So it's
Yes.
almost like it levels you up, and all of a sudden you look at a new job or you look at moving across the country and you're like, all right, it seems challenging, but not as challenging as this.
Yes.
And so, oh, and also we all gained perspective. Like, it became a gift. Looking back, we didn't quite feel like that in the beginning.
Mm, I bet.
And then the second one was when we finally got here, that my mother looked at my eyes and she said, hija, estamos demasiado orgullosos de ti, pero nos vamos a Dallas. Y vas a aprender inglés en 6 meses. You're going to learn English in 6 months. Not only did we have to move within a month, but again, growing up in a very strict and military like family,
Where
sorry,
did you originally land?
we landed in Dallas.
Okay, but then you moved to?
And then, yeah, I ended up living in Pennsylvania afterward, but we stayed in Dallas for a few years.
Okay.
learning English in 6 months. Ma, you're out of your head. Like, people take years. This is going to be impossible. Like, what do you mean? And I was angry. But it was through her benchmark that then you meet it and you say, huh, I was capable of that.
Yeah. She made you think that it was possible.
She made me think that it was possible. And so all of a sudden, it was like a brand new window. Whereas, like, if I was capable of that, what else am I capable of that I'm not even considering, that I'm not bringing into my reality just because I hold my own ceiling against me?
Yeah. I think that you were bringing such an important topic, which is the believing.
Mm,
Right? People
mhm.
do not believe they are capable of doing things. And to me, this is one of the main responsibilities of a leader, because the leader is always seen ahead of the team. And the leader needs to come back and meet the team where the team is and help them believe they can get there. They can get to the destination. It's interesting because recently, not many people know, especially broadcasting this live, but about a month ago, I fell off my bike and I broke my foot. Yeah. And it was 2 weeks ahead of a big event that I had that I was hired for in Brazil.
Oh, wow.
You can imagine the first thing that came to my mind was like, what am I going to do to deliver this keynote?
Right.
But I said, it's my food, it's not my voice. So I can make it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to the doctor. I remember the doctor kind of explaining me. Thankfully, it was not that seriously, but I still have my broken foot here that it will take some time to heal. But I remember I went to the doctor very much focused on one question: Can I fly? That's it.
Mm-hmm.
All my energy was on this, right? So the doctor explained me so many things about the fracture and the healing and the process. I'm like, Doc, I have one question: Can I fly? And he
Mm-hmm.
said, yes. Everything else I can endure, whatever it is, right? But
Exactly.
I really want to kind of deliver this. And then a friend of mine told me, Cami, you know what? The doctor could have told you anything. You intimately believed you could fly. So
Exactly.
regardless of what the doctor would have told you, deep
Mm.
inside, you had already kind of agreed or understood or believed you could fly. So it is. And this to me is what kind of split or separates uh, the people that will try that thrive with
Mm-hmm.
who don't. And to me, the biggest difference is in you believing in your destination, regardless of your destination. In your case, learning English in 6 months. In my case, flying with a broken foot. In someone else, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite authors and founders, his mantra is belief comes before ability. And
Yeah.
so there will be times that you're actually not capable, like you're not able to do the task or to open the company, start your solopreneurship journey, open, like the dream company you're thinking. But the idea that belief comes before ability is something that I think is like completely ingrained in my being now.
Yeah. Let me show you something.
Aye, yes, there you go.
This
Yeah.
is how much I believe in the power of believing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So first you dream about something. Then you start executing and you get there.
Right.
The only thing I know when I start dreaming about something like this podcast or my solopreneurship or my career in corporate was like, the only thing I know is I'm going to dream it. I'm going to go after and executing with discipline, but it's going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we also need to be open to understanding it's going to be different than how you dream of. Like you were saying about your project, the cost of comfort. You had the idea on your living room, you will start executing, but I'm pretty sure it's different than how you originally dreamed of.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so let's switch gears here because you've worked on software that reached the global giants like NASA, Google, and SAP. So, how did saying yes to discomfort open those doors to you?
That's such a beautiful question because I think it requires such humility to walk into spaces that you first think you don't belong. And I am a believer of following unconventional paths that take you to unconventional places, because nowhere in my resume or in my experience there was a likeliness of ending up in the startup and with the team and with the energy I think that I explored within myself and the organization. Um, but holy cow, Cami, I felt so intimidated when I started. And I looked around and I was like, I am the youngest in the team. And what do I have to value here? And what am I going
Oh,
to
imposter syndrome again there.
raise my hand in the meeting? And this person is a senior leader. Am I going to ask them something? I tried, and I think this was one of the biggest learnings of that experience. I tried to assimilate myself to being American. And everyone, well, not everyone, but most people wore black. And so I wore black. And I tried to be very professional in my English and there was one learning that my friend Catherine Noon, my friend and mentor, if you're watching this or if you watch it later, you will know exactly what I'm talking
You're
about.
gonna send it to her.
One day, Kat asked me to record these videos for our users where I explained the software on how they were gonna interact with it, they were gonna use it. And I started the video saying, "Oh, hi everyone. Welcome to our, workflow of blah blah blah." And Kat sent me aside and she said, "You know, we hired you because of how big of a Venezuelan and Latin imprint you have. Why are you hiding that? How much room do you occupy in a space? And when do you start making yourself small in order to fit into these places?" That was a permission that I didn't know I needed, but that enabled me to first bring my Spanglish, my best Spanglish self to work and say things as mira, pero, gracias, to bring my full self. And also to see in everyone around me, are you bringing your full self? Because when I stand empowered and I feel like, yeah, I may be the youngest in the team, but actually, because I am the youngest in the team, can you break that down for me, please? Cami, my posture,
Mhm. Yeah.
my voice, the temp in Spanish we say templanza.
Mhm.
I know that there's a word for that in English, but it's almost like a certainty in your bones
Mhm.
that you show up not knowing you don't have all the answers, but you have the stamina to
Executive
endure.
presence.
Exactly. Executive presence. There we go. And so as such a junior person in the team, that leveled me in a way that I think it would have taken me years and years to do it in a conventional way.
I can tell you something. First of all, I'm almost crying here because by listening to you, I do remember how many years it took me to understand this concept.
Mm,
And for so many years, I put myself in a position that was not my authenticity.
mhm,
And how much it hurt me. It was when I realized that the best I could do for me and for the world and for the environment was to be my true self. I was like, wow, this is so liberating.
yes.
However, it's important to also kind of bring to this conversation the cost of it.
Mm,
Because depending on where you are, for example, in my case, I was in corporate America. Not all leaders are
mhm,
ready for this, right?
mhm,
Because they are used to maybe a standard profile where everybody fits in that profile. And by the time you start kind of showing up as your true self, wait. It's not necessarily what I hired for. In your case, it was completely different. They hired you trying to bring in your true self, but it's not always the case. But regardless, Being your true self is the best you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And coming back to your project, the cost of comfort. Sometimes I feel like we lie to ourselves, or we try to believe that fitting in is the best we can do. We tend to believe that this is the comfort, but this is the biggest
Mm-hmm.
discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another post on LinkedIn about this, when I said, imagine yourself wearing a tight shoes for, I don't know, a day, for an hour. Okay, so your size is, I don't know, 7 or 8, and you are wearing a shoes that is 6. And why? Because that was the only one that was available. You needed a pair of shoes. So
Mm-hmm.
it's either going or barefoot or with the tight shoes. You decide to go with the tight shoes. How do you feel an hour later?
Exhausted, terrible. That's it. That's the best analogy for this example.
Imagine the end of the day, you were like, take me out of here,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I can't stand this pair of shoes anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we do this with our personality? Because that's the same thing. That's the analogy. Whenever we are not kind of expressing or living our true self, we are wearing a tight shoes for so long, and that's why people get depressed. Why people get burned out, and so on and so forth. All the diseases, the mental health impact that we have been observing more recently. So it's the same thing. So to whoever is listening to us here, first of all, thank you very much for bringing this, because this is so relevant, particularly for women in leadership or women in the corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
Be your true self. It may cost you, but I can tell you that's a lot less than not being you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, like, if you had said this to me, too powerful, Talina, I think it can sound daunting at first. Like, if you had told me bring your true self to work back then, I would have been like, what does that mean? Like, where this is my truth, this, because it can sound like such an abstract concept. But I think, and also from Tiny Experiments, oh my God, Anne Lorraine, I'm gonna sit with her one day and I will tell her all that she did with me through her book, because I think the very first step toward it is following your innate curiosity. Just like, it's a little step. Sometimes when we, especially when I talk about my discomfort project and like all the days, it's like, no, we don't have to do such big things in order to start a journey that feels authentic and feels genuine. But I think the times where I started raising my hands, when I actually, again, not the not the person, the persona,
The persona, yes.
not the
The
persona.
character, I would say, if not even the persona, the character,
Was
right?
supposed to feel curious, but no, me. Hey, how does that actually work? Can you break that down? And I'm actually really interested in this part of the business. I want to know more about it. It's like slowly you start untying the shoelace
Yeah.
and you're letting the foot breathe, because you're saying, oof, I don't have to have the persona. It can be me, the one that shows up at work.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. This is the best podcast ever. I can tell you. I can tell you.
You're too kind.
No, not at all. So those are so important topics, and I completely agree with you. Maybe when we say these, bring your true self to life, not to work or to your friends. No, no, no. Bring your true self to life, no matter where you go.
Mhm.
It can definitely sound daunting. However, this is the very best you can do. And once you truly understand this from your stomach, you're gonna see how lighter life becomes,
Mhm.
right? Okay, so but let's talk business here. I love this topic, and I'm pretty sure many people will resonate with this. But in business, leaders often play it safe to avoid risk, right? It's very common. I have seen this throughout my professional life. What do they lose, in your opinion, when they choose comfort over courage?
I think I'm going to bring a dear friend to answer this with me. There's a woman very powerful woman. There's a question I'm seeing. I will continue answering the question and then we'll go back to this.
Yes.
Um, there's a woman whose name is Angela Merkel,
Oh.
and mira, I don't think she's La Tia Angela. I think she's like beyond.
Mhm.
And learning through her lens, Angela, I call her Angela, but really her name is pronounced Angela. Her lens has been that you do not have to confront discomfort. You don't have to be loud about the unconventional choices you're making. You're quiet about them, but in such a stern way that they have an impact in generations after you. There was one example when Angela wanted a person of the government to be, to be accepted into her cabinet. And he was a gay man. And it was controversial back then because Germany wasn't, an open country about this topic. And then Angela gave a speech in which she never mentioned that aspect about this man. She said he's a brilliant man. Here's why he's capable to do this job. Here's like his experience, all of the things that back him up to be part of my cabinet. Everyone clapped. Everyone said this was wonderful. No one questioned her decision. But in reality, she was swallowing a pill that was really uncomfortable because she was slowly changing the views and the perception of an entire nation through a quiet and I think a brilliant approach. And
Yeah.
so I think there's different ways to tackle discomfort and there's different costs in my perspective. But I think when we look up and we say, who is a leader that is doing a job that I think is phenomenal and that in Spanish, you say you te quitas el sombrero, you take off your,
Mhm. Take your
in,
badge off.
take your badge off in respect, in awe at what they're doing, the mud they're tracking. And I think in that case for me is Angela. And we
Wow.
happen to share the same name. That wasn't intentional. Um,
But I see a
but
lot of her in you.
but no, oh my God, no, I aim to that. Like that is she's a role model for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like her, we have so many others. And thankfully, my therapist used to say that um, the higher nail is the one that gets the hammer.
Mm, right.
Fernanda, thank you so much. And that's true, but I am so thankful for previous women that came before me and stood up to be the higher nail. And because they did it, I feel accountable and responsible for being a higher nail for the other generations of women that are coming. And
Hmm.
of course, there is a cost, and this is the cost of comfort or discomfort, depending on how you want to see it. But
Yeah.
just coming back to the original question of what do the leaders lose? I think they lose the opportunity to learn. They lose the opportunity to see the world from a different perspective. And this is so enlightening. There was nothing more enlightening in my life than learning this concept that the world I see is the world I am and not the way it is.
Hmm.
I bring this deep in my heart because every time I step in a conflict or conversations with my husband, with my kid, with my peers, with my colleagues, I'm like, if they are if we are in disagreement, it's because they are seeing the world from a different perspective.
Hmm.
How can I see the world from their perspective? That's what I'm constantly pushing me to do because this is a way for you to learn, right? And at the end of the day, when you look at reasons why people change jobs after having a not a good leader, a good manager, is because they stop learning or they are not learning enough.
Hmm.
And people are constantly hungry for learning. Like you said, I'm reading more books than I could, and I'm listening more podcasts than I could because we are looking for
Hmm.
enriching our knowledge and becoming a better person. You can do this in simple things or in simple attitudes, as pushing yourself every time that you are in a even little conflict. Push yourself to see the world from the perspective of whoever is on the other side of the fence.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Cami, I'm so glad. This is such a yummy conversation.
My goodness, I wish this podcast lasts, I don't know, 3 hours. But I have one more question before we wrap things up, which is, if our listeners could take one bold step this week, today, this month, so we are here in the beginning of October, right? To embrace discomfort in how they lead or design customer experiences, what would it be?
Mm. Let's pick the one. And I think the one has to be the one that aligns with the values of the product you're building, but so aligned that is no brainer. I think oftentimes it's so easy to forget, what is it that we're working on again?
Yeah.
What is the product? What is the service? What is the end goal that we're all having these meetings for, especially in the thick of it? Like when you're back and forth in meetings and arguments, and what are we trying to build? And how can I create an experience in which my customers already see the values that I stand for?
Yes.
And that's the values that hopefully the founder and the CEO represent. Hopefully everyone in a team can say, yeah, I see. I know it's a little foggy right now, but I know what we're trying to do here.
Yeah. I know by heart.
I
Right?
know
It's
by
that kind of a certainty that regardless of the foggy around you, you were like,
Mhm.
I know where we are going despite of the fog.
Exactly. And oftentimes I was having a great conversation with Antonio, our common friend,
Connector.
mentor and connector.
Antonio, thanks
And,
so much.
and Mira, I told him we were together for like 3 hours, and I said, Antonio, you gave me an MBA in 3 hours because I gained so much insight within the 3 hours.
Yes.
But the single word I took from it was service. How can you put your talents, the things that they're innate, they're yours. How can you put them in the service of others everywhere you go? Not for your personal interest, but for the value that you individually stand for.
Yes. It's for others, it's for your audience. That's what I always say in every single keynote, mentoring program, consulting, no matter what it is. It's not about me. It's not my credentials. It's about what I can do for others and how I can help them, right? How can I kind of reduce time for them to go from A to B? Oh, I can agree more with you. So yeah, for whoever is listening to us, for leaders, for solopreneurs, for business leaders, whoever it is, the cost of comfort is not learning, is not kind of a challenging the boundaries that you are living in. And this is very expensive.
Agreed.
Right.
Experimenting, just playing, finding new ways. Absolutely.
Like
Yes.
kids, right? So I had my kid here. He just got a chemistry set. Mommy, I want to run experiments. I want to run experiments.
Mhm.
Yes. And I'm
Mhm.
like, yes, let's do this, because not only with the chemistry set, but in life, we
Mhm.
need to foster that attitude, that behavior, experimenting new things and learning from it.
Exactly.
Angela, I can tell you, one of the best, if not the best episodes. I can't thank you enough for your time, for you being here and sharing this amazing journey. The only thing I can say is that I wish you all the best. And of course, having in me someone you can count on. But before that, please share with the audience your project. How can I find you? Because I'm pretty sure that after this episode, you're going to have many people looking after you.
Mira, I started the Discomfort Project podcast, which is where I share stories from books. My guests are every author that I have fallen in love with, and so it's a wonderful way to capture what you liked most about a book. I see it as having my own audio library in which I can go back years from now and say, what did I love most about Angela Merkel or Tiny Experiments? Um, I also recently founded the Discomfort Project Book Camp that, Mira, I'm in love. I can tell you, I go to bed. Last night I went to bed and I was like, if I died today, it was all worth it, because it's a community of Hispanic women in which we dissect books in a period of 8 weeks. It's a paid membership in which I select the people that I want to have there. What is the energy that I want to surround myself with? And I'm leading this with my mom, who is an executive coach, who, she was my executive coach before I even knew what that meant. And yeah, find me on Instagram at angelacarrasco.co or angelacarrasco.co. Um, it was such a pleasure, Cami. I believe in what you're building because of the joy and the ingenuity you're bringing to it. You're doing this because you would do it even if you didn't get paid for it. And I can taste it, and it's amazing. I stand here with you and celebrate your journey.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, and you are completely right. I could do this even for free. And by the way, I do many things for free because of the passion I have for experience and for leadership, and particularly for female leadership.
Mhm.
So, once again, thank you so much. This was a mind blowing episode, and I'm pretty sure this is going to resonate with the audience. For you that was watching this or you're going to watch the recording, stay tuned. Next week, we have more. Thank you so much.